The most common mistake I see when somebody is young is they'll kind of blow off the payment. So when you use the credit card, if, oh, I just used it for $30, oh, who cares? And then, you get phone calls, you're like, oh, I'll worry about it later. And then you deal with it later. And it's like, you can't comprehend how much, even if you miss a $30 payment, when you're starting out, it's a big, big, big problem. So when you start this credit, you have to have that kind of understanding that, hey, this is sensitive, it's fragile, and it's really not that hard to ruin. And the things that matter, which is you have to pay it on time. So even if even if you use $20, it doesn't matter. The due date's the due date. You have to make the payment by that time.
I mean, that is like the red lights, fire alarms going off. If you get past that 30th day and it hits your credit, how long does that last? It's got to be years.
Yeah. So here's how payment history, it accounts for roughly 30% of your overall credit score. And it'll stay, a negative late payment will stay on your credit for 7 years.
Oh my
The
gosh.
amount of impact that it does, it's weighted in 12-month increments. So the first year, the first 12 months, it does a lot of damage. On a clean report, one late payment for 30 days does about 50 points worth of damage. And it lessens slowly every 12-month period. So year one, it's really bad. Year two, it's also pretty damaging, just a little bit less than the first year. The third year, it's also damaging, but just a little bit less than the first 2 years. By the time you get to the fifth or sixth year, it does do a lot less damage. And the only thing that you can do to help it do even minimal damage is you have to reestablish credit. So the more you have to look at your overall profile. So the more accounts that you've opened, if that's the only account you have and that's it, it's going to hurt. If you've opened up 5 new accounts after that event and you've paid them all on time, then that late payment isn't going to do as much damage. So there's things you can do to mitigate, but it's weighted by increments in yearly increments. The first 2-3 years, it does a lot of damage and then it kind of slowly lessens.
Let's stress this urgency for everyone, not just first-time homebuyers. That one missed payment, it lasts for 7 years, right? But there is no way to creatively use a tool to boost your scores quickly, right? If you're wanting to buy a house this year and you've missed a payment within the past 12 months, there's literally nothing you can do to go be that 780 credit score person if you're now sitting there at like a 700. It just won't go up without time.
Yeah, if that late payment is still there, that profile, no matter what you do, is not going to get to that credit score. And we're able to work with credit cards and late payments like that. There's a lot of creditors we're able to have success with. It all depends on the story and what really happened. They are, sometimes it varies company to company how much they're willing to help. The story obviously does matter, but ultimately, the typical consumer, if you went late on something just recently in your credit card and you wanted to buy a house, you just caused a massive problem for you, and it's costing you way more than you can even imagine.
So, like you said, you can still maybe work it on the back end with the creditor. Like, let's say someone's on auto pay, and for some reason, auto pay ran out. I don't know why that would happen, but there's always a story, right? Let's say it happened where you missed it. You're getting notified in the mail, or maybe even in an email if you're signed up for that, that you need to go make your minimum payment, and you got past that 30th day. You're saying you basically can work with this client, come up with the story that they have, and work with the creditor to potentially completely remove it?
So what we do is we get to the point where we try and understand what happened, how did it happen, and why did it happen. And from there, factually, because the credit card companies have extremely meticulous data and detail about every pattern and behavior on your account. Even what's crazy is even if you've ever yelled at them, that's notated in your account. I've noticed the difference among
Shit.
credit card companies. I've noticed the difference among credit card companies where they're willing to help one person, same situation, but another person they won't. And I started seeing a pattern. I started reaching out to the clients, say, hey, did you ever argue or yell with these people? Like, yeah, I let them have it. I'm like, holy cow, it matters. So everything is tracked internally with credit card companies. But what we do is we work to try and understand factually what transpired here. Because if you try and attempt and approach it without having your facts in order, it's going to be an automatic denial. And that whole process is called goodwill. Part of that is knowing how to construct a story, factually what happened, and also kind of, in whose lap to drop it in.
I mean, that's valuable. Don't yell at the people that you're asking to help you.
It's one of the, because listen, here's the thing. It's not hard to get upset at these credit card companies. When you call them, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Every experience of it, it's a very frustrating experience, but it really, I can't stress to you how much it pays to actually be nice no matter what, because there is a relationship there. They do track everything.